50 years ago, a group of extremely football-talented boys put aside any thoughts for their individual glory to come together through sacrifice, and as a team, they became the mythical #1 high school team in the nation. They were nicknamed the Buffaloes and the Beatniks. The fast and powerful Buffaloes were the offensive 11, while the stingy and mean defense was named Beatniks. In 13 games, the Buffaloes scored 525 points, including 76 touchdowns, 61 point-after touchdowns, 2 field goals, and 1 safety. They accumulated 5,730 yards of offense, averaging 441 yards per game. That's over 11 yards per touch. Every 7th time a Buffalo touched the football, they scored a touchdown. In the 13 games, the Beatniks allowed only 52 points. They allowed their opponents to average only 101 yards in total offense per game. 3 touchdowns came from sustained drives all year. The other 5 touchdowns came on 4 long passes and 1 kickoff return. It has been said, when hard work, dedication, and preparation meets opportunity, luck is the gravy and reward left over. The 1960 Bulldogs combined all of those ingredients to enjoy the gravy and reap the rewards. A potent, powerful, and shockingly frightful offense, a terribly wicked and very stingy defense was the trademark of the championship Buffaloes and Beatniks. The 1960 season got off to a fast start against Appling County. Joey McQuaig, number 40, almost broke the opening kickoff for a touchdown, but was forced down near midfield. On first down, number 20, Marvin Hurst, burst off right tackle and gave a preview of what opponents would see a lot of during the season, his powerful and punishing runs. The little general, Darrell Page, number 10, behind good blocking, sprints out, completes a pass to McQuaig for 28 yards before he's finally forced out of bounds. Powerful running, good blocking, a trademark of the 60 Dogs. Hurst finishes the drive off tackle for the touchdown. The Bulldogs weren't through. Page completes another sprint out to McQuaig, who this time would not be denied. He races over, around, and through would-be tacklers for the score. Jimmy Guy then adds the extra point. It would be one of many in 1960. Hurst adds to the onslaught and shows the speed that complements his power as he gallops up the middle for a long scoring run. This night would end with the first convincing victory of the championship year. Bulldogs 33, Appling County nothing. Bacon County was the next opponent. The multi-talented Dogs would continue to show their power as marvelous Marvin Hurst finds the hole opened by a tough offensive line off right guard, turns on the burners for another touchdown. Page then goes to the air to Bryant Clark, who makes the catch in the middle of traffic for 6 more Bulldog points. The point after by Jimmy Guy was good. Bacon County then scores the first of only a few touchdowns that opponents would score during the entire year against the Beatniks. The score comes on a well-designed screen pass behind a wall of blockers. The point after touchdown failed. However, the Bulldogs were far from through. Harry Bennett answers as he high steps through for the touchdown. Jimmy Guy's point after is good as usual. Final score of this one, Waycross 55, Bacon County 6. Benedictine, a powerful AAA team from Savannah, was next for the Bulldogs. Fresh off a 31-13 defeat of the reigning AAA state champion Albany High, this would be an early test for the Dogs. If they could win, it would make football fans statewide sit up and take notice. It was homecoming in Waycross, and the Bulldogs would not disappoint a capacity crowd. The community of Waycross was in love with their hometown heroes. The Dogs would draw first blood as Darrell Page fakes a sprint out to McQuaig, then hits a screen pass to Hurst for a touchdown behind a wall of Buffalo blockers. Jimmy Guy makes good on another extra point. Waycross leads 7-0 in this important game. Legendary Alabama head coach Paul Bear Bryant once said, "Before you can talk about winning, you have to keep from losing, and you do that with good defense." The Bulldog defense had been dubbed the Beatniks by Coach Earl O'Neill and his staff. The Beatniks complemented Coach Ernie Driscoll's offense and provided the defense that the Bears spoke of when they held this powerful BC offense on 4 straight downs inside the Dogs' 5-yard line. After the goal line stand, the Bulldogs were forced to punt back to BC, and the Cadets scored their only touchdown of the evening on a short pass to draw closer to the Bulldogs, 7-6. The extra point was good, and the game was now tied at 7-7. The Buffaloes answered as Marvin Hurst bulls his way 8 yards for the go-ahead score. Hometown fans roared their approval as this capacity crowd celebrated the touchdown. The point after fails after a muffed snap, and Jimmy Guy scoops it up, makes a valiant effort to run it in, but comes up just short. Score Waycross 13, Benedictine 7. Later, Joey McQuaig, led by Melton Callahan, adds insurance on an elusive 40-yard sprint. The 1960 Bulldogs had shown they were a force to be reckoned with, beating highly regarded Benedictine 19-7. The Bulldogs were 3-0 and on their way to a championship. The Ware County Gators were a young football program by comparison to other Georgia high schools. They were no match for the Bulldog team. The score was 14-0 at halftime. Darrell Page, on a quarterback rollout, starts the scoring in the second half with a touchdown over the left side of the offensive line. Jimmy Guy then converts the extra point. Shortly after, the Gators are forced to punt, and Marvin Hurst, with an over-the-shoulder catch, turns and races behind a wall of blockers for a 72-yard touchdown. Once again, the extra point is successful as the Bulldogs began to show their superior size, depth, and talent. On the ensuing kickoff, the Gator return man, apparently not realizing that on kickoffs, the ball is live. He decides to let it roll, dead. Realizing too late his mistake, he tries to field it, and he's tackled on the 1-yard line. On first down, there's little or no gain. And on second down, Waycross tackles the ball carrier in the end zones for a 2-point safety. The Waycross Bulldogs completely dominated their crosstown rivals and neighbors. Final score, 64-0. Next on the Bulldog march to the championship was Crisp County. It was another mismatch. The Bulldogs seemed to get better each week, and they rolled over Crisp County, 55-7. Page tossed to Bryant to set up the first score. Hurst then scampered in around right end for the touchdown. The point after was good by Jimmy Guy, and the route was on. Page goes to the air again, this time to Leslie Hanley, number 81, who's tackled just short of the goal line. Marvin Hurst reaches pay dirt on one of the most popular and successful plays from Coach Driscoll's playbook, the 46 slant. Turn out the lights, the party's over. Bulldogs win this one 55-7. The next two games were not captured on this DVD highlight. However, the Mighty Dogs continued their domination, beating a good Thomasville team 28-0 and pounding Coffee County 56-6. It was the same old song, new verse when they met Fitzgerald the following week. Marvelous Marvin returned the kickoff for 22 yards. Page on a quarterback rollout behind a screen of blockers picks up 15 yards and a first down. General then completes a pass to Crazy Legs McQuaig on the right flat for 12 more yards, again moving the chains. Page sticks to the air and completes another pass, this time to Hurst on the opposite side of the field. He then fakes a handoff to Harry Bennett, keeps it himself, and scoots off right guard behind a herd of buffaloes. He goes all the way for the touchdown. Darrell Page continues to wow the crowd with his elusive footwork and another first down. With the score 21-0. Hurst continues to punish would-be tacklers up the middle for 15 yards. Then it's McQuaig's turn as he goes on a slant off right tackle over 20 yards. Stopped just short, but scores on a short dive to pay dirt on the next play. The Bulldogs continue the route with a pass to Bryant Clark for another touchdown. Jimmy Guy's kick for the extra point. As usual, it's good. The kickoff is a touchback and Fitzgerald takes over at their own 20. However, Fitzgerald fumbles on first down and Waycross recovers at the 15-yard line. On first down, Marvin Hurst blasts his way in for the touchdown. Later, Fitzgerald punts. It's taken in by Darrell Page, who zigs and zags his way behind textbook downfield blocking, using the whole field for a 52-yard return for 6 more points. Final score in this one, Waycross 55, Fitzgerald nothing. The next test would be the one fans statewide had been pointing to as the hurdle that must be cleared to claim the Bulldogs' first state championship in their 60-year football history. Arch rival Jessup was a perennial power in AA football. This year they were led by college and pro prospect Raymond Ogden, who became a star at Alabama and later with the Cleveland Browns. Coward returned the opening kickoff, 93 yards for Jessup. It was the leading touchdown. The point after was good, and Waycross trailed for the first time in 1960. Jessup 7, Waycross nothing. Later in the first half, the Dogs punted to Jessup. The Antelopes pinned the Yellow Jackets deep in their own territory, inside their own 10-yard line. On first down, a pitch out is mishandled. Jessup fumbles, and the Bulldogs recover inside the 5-yard line. The Bulldogs capitalized quickly, untouched, through a hole off right tackle for 6 points. It was one of the very few misses during the year, but Guy's kick was wide right, and the Bulldogs still trailed 7-6. Later, Waycross holds and forces a punt. Marvin Hurst gathers it in and returns it in Jessup territory before being forced out of bounds as he delivers a punishing headbutt on the sideline. Waycross runs a quarterback rollout, and Page gets the blocking, shows his speed, and scores the go-ahead touchdown for the Waycross Bulldogs. The point-after touchdown by Guy was good this time, and Waycross led Jessup 13-7. However, the night was far from over. Jessup answered quickly as they drove and scored, made good on the extra point, and the lead had changed again. Jessup now led 14-13. Waycross fights back as Page completes a pass on the left flat to Leslie Hanley. Marvin Hurst then pushes the ball downfield on a trap up the middle through a hole opened by McMurray, Callahan, Billy Long. A quarterback keeper moves it closer. Then McQuaig, behind Philip Griffin and Henry Holt, bulls over the tough Jessup defense inside the 5-yard line. Hurst finishes the drive on a slant, led by Griffin, Long, Callahan, and Holt. The Bulldogs had recaptured the lead. The point after by Guy was true through the uprights. Waycross led 20-14 at halftime. They would not trail again in 1960. Jessup kicks off to Waycross to open the second half. McQuaig runs a trap up the middle, cuts left behind key blocking, and races inside Jessup territory before being wrestled down by Raymond Ogden. Page then calls on Marvin Hurst again for another trap on the opposite side. However, a penalty helps stall this drive, and the Bulldogs are forced to line up for a long field goal by Jimmy Guy, which would wind up being the difference in this tough ball game. The kick was good. The Dogs stretched their lead to 23-14. The night was not over. The Yellow Jackets scored in the fourth quarter, but it was not captured on this highlight. It became a defensive game. Neither team was able to score, and after a few changes of possession, Waycross is finally forced to punt. Raymond Ogden hauls it in and returns it. After a couple of plays, Jessup is stalled again. Jessup then takes to the air. Darrell Page intercepts a pass and returns it. After the interception, the Dogs were content not to take any chances. They ran out the clock. They had passed their stiffest test of the season, beating a very good Jessup team in their backyard 23-20. It was the closest any team would come to defeating the Bulldogs in the championship year. After the tough Jessup game, it was almost like a week off. The Bulldogs traveled again, this time to Brunswick, Georgia, to take on Glenn Academy. Waycross kicked off to Brunswick. On first down, there's little or no gain on the Beatniks defense. On second down, Brunswick fumbled. The Dogs recovered. Page rolls out behind good blocking to move deeper downfield. Hurst then burst up the middle to the 15. Page fakes a pass right, cuts back, gets two key blocks, and is stopped at the 3-yard line. Hurst runs a slant right and scores. Later, Page goes left, completes a sprint-out pass to Hurst down to the 30-yard line. The General then follows his blockers to the left and scores. The Bulldogs always played solid fundamental football with great downfield blocking. Jimmy Guy converts, and Waycross led at this point 13-0. Page pitches to McQuaig. He hands to Hurst for a nice gain. Page then passes to Hurst on the left flat. He gets great downfield blocking, shows some nifty running for another 6 points for the Waycross Bulldogs. The extra point is good. The Beatniks stop a Brunswick drive deep. Turn it over to the Buffaloes, and the Buffaloes go to the air. Page to Hurst on a long pass. Hurst gets a great block from Leslie Hanley, and the Dogs cash in for more points. Ho-hum! Waycross chalks up another victory, number 10, 34-0. The first of 3 championship games on the road started at the home field of West Region champion Bainbridge. It was the Region 1AA championship game. Bainbridge had a star running back, Fred Barber. And after fumbling, he picks up the opening kickoff, returns it short of the 20, where he's thrown for a somersault by the Dogs. On first down, Bainbridge fumbles, and the Jordan brothers, Larry and Lamar, recover at the 16-yard line. Hurst goes off right tackle to move the ball even deeper. Darrell Page then keeps the ball, gets inside the 5 for another Dog first down. Hurst is stacked up just short of the goal line on the bread-and-butter right slant. Bennett is then gang tackled just inches short of the goal line. Page then keeps it himself. He gets key blocks from Bennett and McQuaig and scores standing up in the end zones. Dogs draw first blood 6-0. Guy's point after is wide left, but Waycross still leads 6-0 in this championship game. Bainbridge back on offense is stopped on a short gain, tackled by Gordy, Barber, Hopkins, forces a fumble. Jordan recovers. Smith turns official and motions Bulldog football as Hopkins gets up and lumbers off the field. The going gets tough as Waycross continues to pound the football up the middle, with Page, McQuaig, Hurst, and Bennett finding some room through holes opened by the offensive line. After a nice gain by Hurst, Page will roll to the right for a few more. Finally, McQuaig gets some room and gets it all the way down to the 15-yard line. The Dogs finally cash in and take a 13-0 lead in this championship game. Bainbridge fights back, and on a screen pass, Barber has to be dragged down from behind by Big Jimmy Guy with an assist from Jordan. Through the air to the right side, Bainbridge continues to march. The receiver is punished by David Barber. Sticking to the air, Bainbridge scores their first touchdown. The point after is wide left, and the Dogs still lead this championship game 13-6. Back on offense and smelling victory, Page keeps it up the middle for a big gain. Hurst slants right for another gain, eating up the clock. Page pitches this time to Hurst around the right corner. Moves across the field to the Bainbridge 41. Page then goes to the air, passes to Hanley, who makes a shoestring catch. It's first and goal inside the 10. High-stepping Harry Bennett assures the win with a clinching touchdown. Guy's point after touchdown is good, and Waycross moves on in the playoffs 20-6. Waycross continued this road trip as they traveled to Atlanta to take on the highly regarded and rated Westminster Academy. The Dogs would win everything that night, including the coin toss. Waycross fumbles the opening kickoff, but they recover it. Harry Bennett goes off right tackle for just a short gain. Page then pitches to McQuigg for a loss. Then passes to Hurst in the flat, and Hurst almost goes the distance behind textbook blocking. Finally brought down from behind with a TD saving tackle. He's just short of the goal line. One play later, Bennett bulls in for the touchdown. Waycross back on offense, and Page passes to Clark. Then another pass to McQuigg, who gets inside the 5. McQuigg goes up the middle for just a short gain. Page finishes the drive on a sprint around left end for the touchdown. As they continue to dominate the game, Bryant Clark blocks a Westminster punt, scoops it up himself, and scores. Guy's extra point was good, and the night was over for Westminster. With a 33-0 victory, Waycross was now only one game away from their season's goal of a state championship. Gainesville would be the final trip for this historic team as they made the long trek to the hills of North Georgia to take on the highly touted Gainesville team, headed by Preston Ridelhuber. All of the self-proclaimed experts were picking Gainesville to win. The Bulldogs and their faithful fans had other plans for this clash. Waycross kicked off to Ridelhuber, and the Beatniks immediately set the tone for the evening. It was 3 and out for the Dog defense, headed by Wheeler, Barber, Gordy, McCallum, Smith, the Jordan brothers, Guy, Hopkins, Scarborough, and Voigt. Gainesville is forced to punt. Hurst feels it on the run, heads for the sideline, and is on his way for the touchdown. However, this one will be called back on a controversial penalty, so Waycross starts at their own 40. On first down, Page rolls left for a huge gain down into Gainesville territory. A pass to Hurst moves it to the 16-yard line. Hurst then goes on a slant right. Tackled around the 5. The Dogs repeat the same play. Hurst rolls across the goal line for the second time that night, but this one counted, and the route was on. McQuigg gets in on the fun. Joey scores off left tackle. The point after was good. The Red Elephants were forced to punt again, and Page returns it. Page steps out of bounds. Bennett then goes up the middle. One play later, he high steps in for another Waycross touchdown. The point after touchdown by Jimmy Guy again was good. Waycross then pulls out the stops. Fake a secret sally. Page hits Hurst with a strike down to the 15. Page then rolls right. Had some success, and he enjoyed it. So then he goes to the left and scores standing up. The extra point this time was wide. The lead stays 26-0 in the first half of play. The Bulldogs add insult to injury. They pull a successful onside kick, recovering at the Elephant 36. McQuigg goes right, but slips after a short gain. Page then passes to Hurst, down to the 5. Running out of time, Jimmy Guy kicks a 22-yard field goal, and it's 29-0 at the half. But the Gainesville nightmare was not over. It was more of the same in the second half, the final chapter in this historic Bulldog season for players and fans alike. It was Hurst on the slant for the first down. Page completes a pass out to Hanley. Harry Bennett then lugs it off tackle down to the 1-yard line. On the next play, Bennett high steps into the end zones for the score. Page then culminates another drive with a pass out to the left, down to the 15. Page sticks to the air with another touchdown pass, this time to Bryant Clark. Gainesville's vaunted offense, still unable to move against the Beatniks, has to punt. Hanley blocks it, picks it up, but fails to score. However, he gets his reward on the next play, as the Dogs run Hanley on an end around for the final 6 points of this historic year. The final score, Waycross 49, Gainesville nothing in this championship game, and it was not really that close. The fans and teams celebrate out on the field. Someone once said, "What can you say after you've seen the best?" Well, they were that, folks. The best high school football team I've ever seen, before or after 1960. They were the state championship Waycross Bulldogs, the Buffaloes, and Beatniks. Never Again. Starring on offense, Darrell Page, Marvin Hurst, Harry Bennett, Joey McQuigg, Mac Murray, Milton Callahan, Billy Long, Philip Griffin, Henry Holt, Bryant Clark, and Leslie Hanley. On defense, Wilson Wheeler, David Barber, Ronnie Gordy, Dennis McCallum, Bobby Smith, Lamar Jordan, Larry Jordan, Jimmy Guy, Bobby Hopkins, Paige Scarborough, and Harold Voigt. If Waycross never wins again, the 1960 team has provided an overabundance of thrills, a lifetime of excitement, and sufficient victories. The greatest team ever. Paul Robinson, Waycross Journal-Herald, December 1960.